everyone. Welcome to English Flow Podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm William, and we are so glad you chose to be here with us today.
Let me start with something very real. You are telling a story, something that happened last weekend, and you say, "We was so tired after the trip," and someone gives you that look, that tiny little look.
You know the look.
And inside you are thinking, wait, was that wrong? Should it have been were or was right? And why do I never know which one to use?
If that moment sounds familiar, this episode was made for you.
Today, we're talking about two words that come from the same root, two words that live in the past tense, two words that confuse almost every English learner on the planet.
Was and were.
They are both past tense forms of the verb to be. Same family, same time zone, the past, but used for different people in different situations.
And today, we are going to make it so clear, so natural, so simple, that you will never mix them up again.
No heavy grammar, no long charts to memorize, just real understanding, real conversation, real English.
If you are new to English Flow Podcast, welcome. We are so happy you found us. Subscribe right now and grow your English with us every single week.
Okay, let's go back in time.
Let's go. Before we separate was and were, let's understand where they come from, because context always makes things clearer.
Was and were are both past tense forms of the verb to be.
To be, the most important verb in English. In the present tense, to be gives us am, is, and are.
I am, he is, she is, it is, you are, we are, they are.
That is the present. Now, take all of those people, I, he, she, it, you, we, they, and move them into the past.
Some of them get was, some of them get were.
And the beautiful thing is, the split is very clean, very logical, very easy once you see it.
I was, he was, she was, it was.
You were, we were, they were.
That is the whole pattern right there. 4 people get was, I, he, she, it. 3 groups get were, you, we, they.
And notice something. In the present, I am, he is, she is, it is. These are all singular, one person or one thing.
In the past, those same singular ones become was.
And in the present, you are, we are, they are. These involve more than one or the person you are speaking to.
In the past, those become were.
So, the logic carries over from present to past. Singular, was, plural, and you, were.
Was for one, were for more, or for you.
Simple family, clear history. And now, let's spend real time with each one.
Let's talk about was. And I want to begin by saying was is probably the word you will use most often when telling personal stories. Because personal stories almost always start with I.
And I takes was, always, without exception.
I was tired. I was so excited. I was only 7 years old when it happened. I was completely lost in that city.
Every single one of those, I was. Past tense, personal, real.
Now, beyond I, was also belongs to he, she, and it, the third person singular.
He was late to the meeting. She was the kindest person I ever met. It was a beautiful evening. The weather was perfect.
He, she, it, the weather, the meeting, the city, all singular things, all get was in the past.
Think about describing a person you knew in the past. She was generous. She was funny. She was always the first one to arrive.
Or telling a story about a place you visited. The hotel was amazing. The food was incredible. The music was playing when we walked in.
Hotel, singular. Food, singular. Music, singular. Was.
And here is something important about was. It often carries a sense of personal memory, personal experience. When you say, I was, you are reaching into your own past and pulling something out.
I was nervous before the interview. I was so happy when I heard the news. I was not expecting that at all.
You can feel the personal weight in those sentences. That is was doing its job beautifully.
Was is also used in questions about a single person or thing in the past.
Was he at the party last night? Was she feeling better by the end of the day? Was the film as good as everyone said?
He, singular. She, singular. The film, singular. All questions about one thing or one person in the past all use was.
And in negatives, was not, or the contracted form, wasn't.
I wasn't. He wasn't. Listening. It wasn't what I expected at all.
Wasn't. That short, sharp word, so natural, so common, so useful.
Wasn't. I was not. He wasn't. He was not. She wasn't. She was not. It wasn't. It was not.
Was and wasn't for I, he, she, it, all singular, all personal, all past.
Now let's meet the other side of the family.
Were, and I want to say something straight away. Were sounds more powerful somehow, more communal, more connected.
That is because were almost always involves more than one person, or the person you were talking to directly.
Were belongs to you, we, and they in the past tense.
You were incredible up on that stage. We were so worried about you. They were waiting outside for almost an hour.
You, the person being spoken to. We, a group that includes the speaker. They, a group of others.
All of these involve more than one person, or a direct personal connection to the listener.
And were carries something warm about it. When you say we were, you are including yourself in a shared experience, a shared past.
We were young. We were so full of dreams back then. We were absolutely exhausted after that climb.
There is nostalgia in we were, a sense of togetherness, of shared memory.
And they were, talking about others, a group, people whose story you are telling.
They were the best team I ever worked with. They were all sitting around the table when I arrived. They were laughing so much I could hear them from outside.
You can picture those people, right? That group, together in the past. That is they were.
Now, you were. This one is interesting because you in English can be one person or many people.
Right. You were brilliant in that presentation, speaking to one person. You were all so kind to us during our stay, speaking to a group.
Both use were because whether you is one person or many, in English it always takes were in the past.
And this is actually different from how some other languages work. In some languages, singular you and plural you follow different rules. In English, you is always were in the past, no exceptions.
You were there. You were not listening. You were the reason everything worked out so well.
All were, all past, all for you, one or many.
Now, were in questions. Was and were simply swap positions with the subject to form a question.
Were you at home when it happened? Were they happy with the result? Were we supposed to bring something?
Were you asking about the person you are speaking to? Were they, asking about a group. Were we, asking about a shared situation.
And in negatives, were not or weren't.
We weren't ready in time. They weren't expecting so many people. You weren't wrong, you were just misunderstood.
Weren't. So natural, so everyday, so important.
Were and weren't for you, we, and they, past tense, communal, connected.
Now let's put was and were right next to each other.
Let's feel the contrast directly. Same situation, different person, different word.
I was nervous before the speech versus we were nervous before the speech.
I was, one person, the speaker. We were, a group including the speaker. Same feeling, same moment, different word because of who is involved.
He was late to the wedding versus they were late to the wedding.
He was, one man. They were, a group of people. Same situation, the number of people changes the word. And that is a crucial point. Was and were do not just follow people, they also follow singular and plural nouns.
One thing was, more than one thing were.
The door was open. The windows were open. The door, one, was. The windows, more than one, were.
The sky was gray all day. The clouds were heavy and dark. Sky, one, was. Clouds, more than one, were.
That cake was delicious. Those cakes were delicious. That cake, one, was. Those cakes, plural, were.
And here is where so many learners make a very common and very understandable mistake.
People say, we was so happy, or they was waiting for hours, or you was right about everything.
And the meaning is completely clear. Nobody misunderstands you. But the correct forms are we were, they were, you were.
Because we, they, and you always take were. Singular takes was. That is the line.
Another common one, there was many people at the event.
Many people, that is plural, more than one. So there were many people at the event.
One person or thing, there was. More than one, there were.
There was a long queue outside. One queue, singular, was.
There were hundreds of people waiting. Hundreds of people, plural, were.
And one more, and this one is subtle. The team was playing well versus the team were playing well.
Ooh, both of these are actually acceptable depending on where you are in the world.
In American English, a team is treated as a single unit. Singular, the team was.
In British English, a team is treated as a group of individuals, plural, the team were.
Both are correct. It depends on the variety of English you are using and learning.
But for most learners, just remember, one thing or person was, more than one were, and you, we, they always were. That will carry you through almost every situation perfectly.
Now let's hear was and were living inside a real, warm, natural conversation.
Imagine two old friends meeting at a cafe after a long time apart, sharing memories.
Do you remember that road trip we took years ago? That was the best summer of my life.
It was incredible. We were so young and had no idea what we were doing. Remember when the car broke down?
Yes, it was the middle of nowhere. We were completely lost. I was so stressed, but you were so calm about the whole thing.
I wasn't calm at all. I was terrified inside. I just didn't want to panic everyone. The others were already worried enough.
They were, poor things, but somehow it all worked out. Those were the days.
Let's notice all the forms in that conversation. That was, singular event. It was, singular experience. We were, group including both speakers. We were, again. It was, singular. We were, group. I was, one person. You were, speaking to one person. I wasn't, one person, negative. I was, one person. The others were, a group. They were, a group. Those were, plural days, plural memories.
Every single one exactly right. And it all flowed so naturally, so warmly, like a real conversation between real people.
Because once you understand the logic, was and were stop being a choice you have to think about. They become instinct.
And instinct is where fluency lives.
We are in the final part of today's episode. And just like last time, let's make it stick with a little practice together.
I will say a sentence with a blank. You, yes you, listening right now, fill in the blank. Was or were. Say it out loud if you can.
Then I will give the answer. Ready?
She, blank, the first person to arrive.
Was. She, singular, third person. She was the first person to arrive.
They, blank, so proud of everything they had built together.
Were. They, plural, group. They were so proud.
The coffee, blank, terrible at that place, honestly.
Was. The coffee, singular noun. The coffee was terrible.
You, blank, always the most creative person in the room.
Were. You, always were, whether one person or many. You were always the most creative person in the room.
We, blank, not expecting such a warm welcome.
Were. We, group including the speaker. We were not expecting or weren't expecting.
There, blank, 3 missed calls on my phone when I woke up.
Were. 3 missed calls, plural. There were 3 missed calls.
How did you do? If you got all of those, wonderful. If you got some wrong, equally wonderful because you tried, and trying is how this all works.
Let's bring the whole episode home now with a final clear summary.
Was. Use it for I in the past. Use it for he, she, and it in the past. Use it for any single noun or thing in the past.
I was, he was, she was, it was, the dog was, the idea was, the moment was.
Were. Use it for you in the past, whether one person or many. Use it for we in the past. Use it for they in the past. Use it for any plural noun in the past.
You were, we were, they were, the children were, the streets were, the memories were.
And the quickest shortcut of all is the subject singular? Was. Is it plural? Or is it you, we, or they? Were.
Singular, was, plural, or you, we, they, were.
Say it one more time with us.
Singular, was, plural, or you, we, they, were.
That is your compass. That is all you need.
And remember, when you are speaking fast in a real conversation under pressure, you might still make a mistake sometimes, and that is absolutely fine.
What matters is the direction you are moving, and you are moving forward every single day.
Every episode you listen to, every sentence you try, every mistake you catch and correct, it all adds up to something beautiful.
A version of you that speaks English with confidence, with flow, with ease.
That is why we do this. That is why you are here. And that connection between you and this podcast, between you and English, that was always worth building.
And it still is.
If today's episode helped you, please share it with someone who is also learning English.
One share might be exactly what someone needs today.
Subscribe to English Flow Podcast and come back every week for more real, natural, flowing English.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm William.
Keep flowing.